Summary of Macbeth by William Shakespeare. The Norwegians have invaded Scotland with the help of Scottish rebels. The Scots do a good job of protecting their country and their favorite king, Duncan. One Scotsman, Macbeth, Thane of Glamis, stands out as a leader in the fight against the attackers. After the fight, Macbeth and his friend Banquo meet the Weird Sisters, three witches who tell them that Macbeth will become Thane of Cawdor and then king. They also say that Banquo's children and grandchildren will be kings. The men don't believe the witches at first, but then they find out that the old Thane of Cawdor was a traitor who helped the Norwegians and that Duncan made Macbeth Thane of Cawdor as a prize for how brave he was on the battlefield. Macbeth thinks about killing Duncan and becoming king right away, but he pushes the idea away. Duncan says later that day that Malcolm, his oldest son, will take over his throne. As Macbeth's desire starts to get the best of him, Duncan chooses to spend the night at Macbeth's castle of Inverness to celebrate. Lady Macbeth's husband writes her a letter about the forecast and Duncan's upcoming arrival. She decides that her husband is too nice to go after his dreams, so she promises to push him to kill Duncan and take the crown that night. At first, Macbeth is against his wife's plan, but he ends up going along with it because he is ambitious and because his wife keeps asking him if he is brave and a man. That night, they kill Duncan and put the blame on the men who were watching his room. The next morning, Macduff, another Scottish Thane, finds Duncan dead and sounds the alarm. Macbeth and Lady Macbeth act to be shocked and angry. Macbeth kills Duncan's guards to keep them quiet, but he says he did it because he was angry that they killed the king. Duncan's boys think that they might be next, so they run away. Macbeth is made king, and because Duncan's sons ran away, they are the most likely people to have killed their father. Banquo is wary of Macbeth because he knows what the witches said would happen. Macbeth sees Banquo as a threat because the oracle says that kings will come from Banquo's family. Banquo is one of the thanes that Macbeth invites to a feast that he throws. Banquo and his son Flens are on their way to the feast when Macbeth hires two killers to kill them. Banquo is killed, but Flens gets away. Macbeth sees Banquo's ghost at the feast, but no one else does. All of the thanes are wary of Macbeth because of how he acts and because Banquo died. They start to see Macbeth as a cruel ruler. Macduff refuses to show up at all at the royal court and instead goes to England to help Malcolm raise an army to fight Macbeth. Macbeth goes to see the three witches to find out what will happen to him. They show him three ghosts who tell him to watch out for Macduff and that no man born of woman can beat him. They also tell him that he will be king until Birnam Wood marches to Dunsinane, a castle. Macbeth thinks he is unbeatable because all men come from women and trees can't move. Still, the witches confirm the promise that Banquo's family will rule Scotland one day. Macbeth sends men to Macduff's house to kill Macduff's family so that he can keep the crown for longer. Macduff and Malcolm are getting ready to attack Scotland from England. When Macduff hears that his family has been killed, he cries and vows to get even. While Malcolm leads the English and Scottish toward Dunsinane, Lady Macbeth starts sleepwalking and thinking she has blood on her hands that can't be washed off. Macbeth has become crazy, cruel, and full of himself, so many of his men leave him and join Malcolm. Malcolm and his generals come up with a plan in Birnam Wood to hide how many people they are. They cut trees to hold in front of them. As Macbeth gets ready for the attack, Lady Macbeth dies. It is possible that she killed herself. Macbeth hardly feels anything anymore, and her death only makes him talk about how pointless life is. Then Malcolm's army comes moving toward the castle, looking like a forest. Malcolm's troops quickly take over Dunsinane, but Macbeth keeps fighting, calling anyone who dares to stand up to him men born of woman. But Macduff says he was taken from his mother's belly too soon, through a cesarean section. Macbeth is killed by Macduff, and Malcolm becomes King of Scotland.
About the author. Shakespeare's father was a glovemaker, and Shakespeare only went to elementary school. He married Anne Hathaway in 1582, but he left his family around 1590 to become an actor and writer in London. Shakespeare was an instant hit. He quickly became the most famous writer of his time and a part owner of the Globe Theatre. In 1603, King James gave his acting group the name the King's Men. Shakespeare moved to Stratford-upon-Avon in 1613, when he was wealthy and well-known. He died 3 years later.
Hope we summarized it fully and you liked it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we are motivated to create more videos.